Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dan Hanford, and my wife, Danae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur. Before we get started, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HanfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORD Capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit HanfordCapital.com. On the podcast with us today is Rey Ybarra. He is the author of the multimedia book, Conversations with Shark Tank Winners, featuring inspiring written, audio, and video stories with multiple entrepreneurs from the hit TV show Shark Tank. Welcome to the podcast, Rey.
Thank you so much, Dan and Danae. Thank you for having me on your wonderful show.
Hi, Rey. Yes, and thanks for being with us, and we are looking forward to talking to you this morning. Could you please just start us off and give us a brief background on you as an entrepreneur?
Yes, thank you for that. I've been an entrepreneur primarily in the media industry, from print media, internet radio, local television, broadcast radio. I produced a live 2-hour call-in radio talk show on 870 KRLA here in Los Angeles, and at that time, was when Oprah Winfrey was dominating television, and I've had most of her guests on my radio show. It was a great time. Produced an on-demand video website about a year before YouTube came out with nothing but video interviews with local businesses. Produced live online internet reality TV programming. Jumped there to become a digital multimedia author, producing my Conversations with Shark Tank Winners, a multimedia book, an event speaker, producer. And so, I've had many, many years as a media entrepreneur.
Well, it sounds like you have a very extensive background, and I want you to share with the listeners a tough decision that you've had to make along this journey of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, Dan. I mean, that's very important because along this journey as entrepreneurs, as you well know, there's a lot of things that life-changing events that can happen to you. My life-changing event was when I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis. It's a very painful disease that attacks the joints, the tissue of your joints, and it destroys them. People confuse it with regular arthritis or osteoarthritis, but this is an autoimmune disease. Once you get it, there's no cure for it. You can only hope to slow it down. It turned my life upside down 180 degrees, and so it affected everything that I do. And most recently, I just had a terrible flare-up for almost a little over 2 months where I could barely do anything, and I was in excruciating pain. And so it's forced me to leave my events. And as you well know, networking is so important in what we do, and it's forced me to stay at home and rest up and be away from that. I don't know when or if I can get out to do that in the near future, but it's altered all of my plans. So I was producer of my Sharks and Stripes event, a live event for military entrepreneurs, and I had to let that go. And my networking and all of the meetings that I had planned to attend, I had to let all of that go. So I've had to adapt, and so I've decided to go on a guest casting tour as a guest for all these wonderful podcasts, and thank God for technology that I was able to adapt and do that without having to leave my home and putting my health in further jeopardy.
So can you walk us through some lessons that you've learned through this tough decision?
Oh, patience, having faith in the good Lord, and just saying, hey, in praying every morning and setting my mind straight that there's things that we can control and things that we can't control, and those life-changing events that we can't control, we just have to trust in Him, and we just have to do the best we can with what we have for the moment, for the day. And that's all we can do. The rest is just doing the best with what we've been given and having faith that everything is going to work out. We have to take that action. We just can't sit back and expect things to happen no matter what situation we're in. So I've learned patience. I've learned extreme faith and trust in God, and I have a lovely wife who's my rock and my support system. And I've learned how to be patient and balanced, and just when I'm in excruciating pain, know that everything is going to be okay. And just having that extreme faith in God has really helped me through this whole process. I see the world very different now from this illness than I did before.
Ray, one of the things that Dan and I have learned in our experience as entrepreneurs is that when you come across a difficulty or when you experience a struggle, whether it's personally or in the business, those are the times where we learn the most and we grow the most. So I'm wondering, have you learned about any new resources? Have you met any new people? What have you added to your repertoire, I guess, as an entrepreneur as a result of the struggle that you've had?
Well, that's a great question. Technology, we're in a time of technology to where it allows us to be places where we can't go physically. It allows us to produce programming and material that was a specialty years before, where you had to go and pay somebody who I was in the print media business for a number of years. And when I was in that business, the technology was starting to change, and we were starting to go into digital copiers that printed a lot more pages per minute. So you had to go to a specialist to get things done. But now, the way technology is, you can do just about anything if you take the time to learn it. And I've had to adapt to learning how to use a lot of technologies to take me where I'm not able to go, and to produce things that I couldn't or I can't afford. Because when I was diagnosed with this illness, me and my wife lost just about everything. We almost lost our home, our savings, our retirement, all of our security in terms of finances and everything. It was depleted because of my illness. And so I had to learn how to do things with technology where I couldn't be. And so I've learned how to adapt and work with technology and the tools available to help me in this process. When I produced my multimedia book, I basically did all of that on my own. The editing, the audio editing and video editing. What I even did was I transcribed word for word the interviews by myself using technology. And it was a long process, but I learned how to do all of that. So technology allows us to do these things. You just have to put the time and the effort into learning it. But it's there and it's available, and we're living in a very incredible time to be able to do that.
Yeah, you're right about that with the technology, but I think the lesson that our listeners probably need to take away from this is that a lot of times we resist the struggle and we resist the difficult things because we don't find it's not fun for us. But without those, a lot of times we just stay in our rut, if you will, and we don't grow and we don't change. And I have no idea what would have happened, but chances are you wouldn't have learned about a lot of that technology, or you never would have implemented it because you didn't need it. And so those times of difficulty is when we really grow and add to what we can do. Can you talk to our listeners? Obviously, you've had a lot of experience as an entrepreneur. How do you make tough decisions? Do you have a strategy that you use when you're facing a tough decision, or something specifically that you've learned to use since your illness?
Well, just taking immediate action of some kind to solve a problem or work through a challenge, I think is extremely important. We've heard this saying before through the years in one way or another, the analysis of paralysis. I was doing a podcast some years ago about how I produced my multimedia book, and a lot of callers, they were telling me that they had a lot of ideas for writing a book, and many of them have been working on them for years. And I said, well, why is it taking you so long to get your project and your book off the ground? And they said that they were afraid that it wouldn't be good enough. It was the fear of failure. You can't be afraid to fail on this journey. And one of the things I learned from the great Tony Robbins was taking immediate action. Taking immediate action, whether it's writing down your ideas on a yellow pad, or getting online and doing research, or just picking up the phone and making a call, talking to a mentor, or whatever it is. I'm a firm believer that you must take action of some kind if you're going to solve a problem, if you're going to get out of your comfort zone. You have to take action if something is going to happen. You just can't sit there and analyze all day. You just got to jump into it, have faith, and get it done.
So for those of you listening, I think the biggest takeaway here from what he's talking about is that the worst action is the action of inaction. And so make sure that when you have something that you're trying to make a decision on, you make that decision and you start to act. Don't just sit there and kind of think about it and think about all the bad things that can happen, because in our failures is where we grow.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. That is so important. Failure is one of those things that as entrepreneurs, we're not going to get around that, but just diving in and just getting it done. I'm a firm believer in taking immediate action of some kind.
Rey, do you have a book that you would recommend to our audience as a must-read for entrepreneurs?
Yes, there was a great book and a great movie years ago that came out. It's called The Pursuit of Happiness by Chris Gardner. A wonderful film with Will Smith. I highly, highly recommend that. That movie inspired me so much, and it continues to inspire me to this day. Chris Gardner, The Pursuit of Happiness. He was a guy in San Francisco that was broke, and he became an incredible stockbroker, created his own firm, sold part of it for millions and millions of dollars. But what he had to overcome to achieve that is just extraordinary. The movie and the book are just fantastic. I highly recommend it.
Well, let's shift gears here a little bit, Rey, and talk about what is the most exciting thing that you have purchased or place that you have traveled with the money that you've made up to this point. I know now with your illness, you're kind of limited into where you can go and things you can do, but can you share with us some of the things that you have done with the success that you've had as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think for me, it's as an entrepreneur, some of the places that I've been actually was on my tour when I was touring with the Small Business Expo. You know, I was one of the featured speakers and produced my entrepreneur panel presentation. And I know that, you know, in terms of the question, it's kind of going a little left here, but that to me was an incredible experience. And because of the fact that when I saw the reactions of the audience of what the subject matter was and how people would come up to me afterward and say, man, you are really, really, really helping me. How did you do all of this? And you were so inspirational. Nothing that I bought, but it was what I was able to create through all of these challenges that gave me the most happiness and the most joy. So I guess what I'm saying is that, you know, the action of creating something out of nothing in terms of the idea coming to fruition, for my panel presentation and where it took me and the people that I met, I can't put a price tag on that because it made me such a much, much better person by speaking and meeting these great entrepreneurs and them sharing their thoughts and their feelings with me. Can't put a price tag on that. So that to me was the most important element of what I've been through the last few years.
And what's the number one item on your bucket list right now?
The number one item on my bucket list is I would actually like to do a lot of traveling that I haven't been able to do for a while now, because when I was diagnosed with this illness officially back in 2005, I have not been able to do a lot of things and do any traveling outside of my business because of the limitations it puts on me. So I would like to explore and one day go and do some traveling to some exotic places and see some of the world. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that sometime in the future. And that's what I look forward to, is doing a lot of traveling with my wife.
Do you have one place that you really, really would love to go see?
Yeah, I would really love to go to Spain and to Italy and to Portugal. My wife was over there on a tour. She was an NFL cheerleader, and when she was cheering, she went over there with the football team, and they did a game over in Spain, and she sent me pictures of that, and I said, we got to go there. I have to go there and see that part of the country. So that's where I would like to go.
That is awesome. Well, Rey, can you tell us how our listeners can reach out to you if they want to continue to follow you a little bit more or get some more information from you?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I've actually produced a series of 4 videos that are free that for your listeners that contain really great practical tips. Some of them, 3 of the videos feature some of my successful Shark Tank entrepreneurs on there. And one of them is with me. And I talk about this journey and how I started my book and how I wrote the title on the back of a business card. And I show that example in the first video. But they're really great videos. They're free. They're practical. They can help you in your business. And you can just email me at info@sharktankeffect, EFFECT, info@sharktankeffect.com. My website, my new website, it's in progress and now won't be ready till after the 4th of July. So you can just email me and I will, that's the best way if you have any questions. Just request the videos. They're free. They're really powerful, to the point. And once again, that's info@sharktankeffect.com.
Well, thank you so much, Rey, for being with us today. I wish you the very best and look forward to having you on a future podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure.
You too. Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email, where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.